Hello, my name is Lisa Feldstein. I'm a health and fertility lawyer in Ontario, Canada. And in this video, I want to explain something that I explain all the time to people who call, which is what is the surrogacy process? So there's this whole journey that people go through, and there's a lot of different steps. And especially on the legal side, a lot of people are a bit confused what happens when. So I want to explain the surrogacy process, especially as it relates to where lawyers are involved. So the very beginning of the surrogacy process, lawyers aren't really involved, but it's about finding that surrogate. And that could be through an agency, friends, family, putting posts in Facebook groups and online forums. There's all kinds of ways that people meet the surrogate. That's really kind of step one once they've decided surrogacy is right for them. And they go through the clinic, and the screening, medical screening, psychological counseling happens, and the surrogate has to be given the green light by the clinic. And then the legal process begins, and that's what I will spend most of this video on. Of course, I swept past a lot of steps, but I really want to explain where sort of the role of lawyers is and what that process looks like. So generally, the legal process starts with the intended parents hiring a lawyer first, and they will meet. I find my meetings with clients are between 60 and 90 minutes usually, and they used to be about 2 hours, but we've started having checklists completed in advance to reduce the meeting time. It was getting a little out of control. So about 90 minutes tops now. And during that meeting, we provide legal advice to clients, and we also ask lots of questions where we provide some context of different scenarios that can happen, and we provide a bit of a buffet of sort of the spectrum of here's what you can decide, here's what you can decide. There's all kinds of options because no two surrogacy agreements are the same. So we have a very in-depth conversation so we know exactly what should go into the contracts, because the next step is we draft the contract. We draft it as best as we can based on notes from the clients from that first meeting, and then the clients have to review it. And a lot of people ask, how long should this process take from start to finish? I often recommend a month, and I mean from the time they meet the lawyer to when the contract is signed. I recommend a month because it takes time to read a contract, especially a contract that might be 30 or more pages. So I like to build in enough time for each step. So for us to draft the contract, and then for clients to sit down and thoughtfully read it. Maybe they need to sit down in more than one session to get through it all. The clients then give feedback to the lawyer, and the lawyer might make any further changes if needed. And then it goes on to another lawyer, because there has to be two lawyers. The surrogate needs her own lawyer, and we call that process independent legal advice, or ILA for short. And during that ILA process, the surrogate reads the contract, her lawyer reads the contract, and then they have a meeting as well. During that meeting, the surrogate will learn about her rights, her obligations under the contract, as well as understand what's in this contract in front of her and what does she want to change, because through her discussion with the lawyer might point things out. So for example, a lawyer might say, I've noticed the contract is silent when it comes to life insurance. Do you want the intended parents to buy life insurance for you? So through that conversation, there will probably be changes. Those changes will then be communicated from one lawyer to another. So generally, the surrogate's lawyer will write to the intended parents lawyer, often with a marked up contract. Sometimes it's with a list, but it's here are the proposed changes. Because at this point, they are considered proposed. The intended parents need to agree to them. They need to accept them. So whatever amount of back and forth is needed will happen. I find it's generally just one round in most cases. Usually the surrogate's lawyer will send me an email. I'll take a look, or draft changes right in the contract. I will take a look. Most of the time they're reasonable. I'll send them over to my clients, and my clients will take a look as well and let me know if they agree. If we need to say we agree with everything but this one or two things, I communicate that back to the surrogate's lawyer. So we do that as many times as needed until the agreement is completely done, everybody understands it, everybody is happy with it, and they're ready to sign. Then we send it out generally for e-signing, although people can choose to print it and have it signed. It is the norm to have it signed in front of a witness who is over 18 and not a party to the contract. Once it's signed, the lawyer for the intended parents will write a letter to the fertility clinic. If there's a clinic involved, there usually is. That clinic needs to know that the contract was signed so they can go ahead with the next steps. So that's generally phase one. Often lawyers for the intended parents will be involved subsequently for two main tasks. One is writing a letter to the hospital. We often call that a joint letter of instruction because it will be signed by the intended parents and the surrogate, instructing the hospital to do certain things. And the lawyer for the intended parents will help with the birth registration. And that depends on the province. In Ontario, most of the time it's not necessary to go to court, but there's still paperwork that has to be done correctly and filed with the government to get the right names on the birth certificate. In other provinces, sometimes a trip to court is needed to get a court order and then register the birth certificate. So that's kind of an overview of the process. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you in the next video.